Good morning, everybody. We're back. Hopefully today, I want to apologize for yesterday. I did not foresee a plumber who shouldn't even have been working yesterday cutting the power. He drilled straight into the cable, cutting the power. That was interesting. But we're back. Good morning. It's just hot water really, so yeah. It's not tea. It's supposed to be tea. I am feeling a little bit funny today. I don't know, maybe lack of sleep, maybe I slept weird, or maybe my brother brought diseases. Maybe he brought a cold. But we're here, we're live, I'm pretty sure. And today we are definitely going word hunting. So, that was what we were supposed to do yesterday. We have words like though, for example. Though, which is in here 55 times. Yes, 55 times in 22 pages. That means... Yeah, I blacked out the ending. You guys are not going to see the ending until I publish it. That means there's basically 3 those on each page. Well, okay, to be fair, thought is also... It's also a lot. Maybe we should go thought hunting. Yeah, thought hunting season is open. So though or thought, those are there a lot. Maybe a thought is there. We also have manage. Okay, we're down to 15, but I know that's a word that I tend to use a lot apparently. They manage to do something. Now, it's not that the word in itself is bad. It's just like... I don't like it. It's just that I don't like it when it's like too much there, right? So I feel like we can mix things up. Just be a little better. We can mix things up, construct the sentences differently, that they still make sense, of course, but just be a little more creative with it. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Let's start with though. I am interested to see that... Was it 38 that I thought? Okay, so the though problem is not actually as bad as I thought it would be. But we do have them sometimes. So, first one is in the second sentence. Looking down was scary, especially since Varusu had never flown before. Calling it flying was maybe a little bit of a stretch, though. Oh, I think that's fine. I think we can move on. It's in the next... Oh, what the hell? The next one was down in this paragraph. So this one is probably, since we just had it like half a page before. So it's sort of the... When I'm using though, I feel like it's very much in the comma. You know, this happened, comma, but it shouldn't have. Oh, but this should have happened instead. So very much in the but sense. Yeah. And yes, so, you know, we're just trying to be better writers, trying to be a bit more creative with the language here. The strange noise abruptly pulled Varusu back from her dreaming. She hadn't been sleeping even though it was late evening. She hadn't been sleeping. She hadn't been sleeping. She hadn't been sleeping even though it was late evening. Even though it was late evening, but instead adjusting the heat of one of the incubation kilns she was tending when her mind had started to wander. Okay, so I don't like that sentence at all, actually. A strange noise abruptly pulled Rusu back from her dreaming. She hadn't been sleeping, even though it was late evening, but instead adjusting the heat of one of the incubation kilns. Okay, so see here. So this is what we can do. I'm just gonna separate the two. Oh yeah, this changed. Sugar. How do we... I just need to change some settings back. Device, keyboard input, keyboard shortcuts. So I want to go delete. That has apparently been changed to the launcher icon into backspace. Delete next letter. So this one. And that's locked. Cool, I can change that. That's very nice. What? Why? But I want to have it as alt. Hello? Okay, I can use Alt-GR. That's not gonna help me a whole lot. I was just getting used to the stupid layout of Chromebooks. Why are you doing this to me? For no reason whatsoever. It's not like this is the alt backspace. Since there's no delete key on the Chromebook keyboard, there's only a backspace. So to delete, delete forward, delete the next letter, you need to press a button called Launcher or Alt-GR, which is in place of caps lock, instead of just using the normal QWERTY keyboard. Stupid Chromebook. Okay, but where were we? I had a good idea for this one. She hadn't been sleeping, it was late evening, but she hadn't been sleeping. Instead, so here, I was thinking maybe we should say instead the brood carer. Instead the brood carer at something. So if I say instead the brood carer had been so there's a problem here with the 2 times had been. Well, I guess this is had not been, but instead the brood carer was in the middle of adjusting the heat of one of the incubation kilns that she was tending when her mind had started to wander. You know, I think that's a pretty good different way of saying it. So instead of she hadn't been sleeping even though it was late evening, but instead adjusting the heat of one of the incubation kilns she was tending when her mind had started to wander. It's now, it was late evening, but she hadn't been sleeping. Instead, the brood carrier was in the middle of adjusting the heat of one of the incubation kilns that she was tending when her mind had started to wander. And I think this should be Rusu. So even though it is the same person, it is the same character we're talking about, we have established, of course, that Burusu have two different types of personalities, right? Throughout this, she has the brood carrier one, which is a facade she takes on, where she's sassy, she's knowledgeable, she doesn't take no for an answer, and then we have Burusu herself, who wants to explore, who doesn't actually feel like she belongs, and she's quite insecure. So it makes sense that Burusu here, the one who dreams, is the one denoted Burusu and not the brood carrier. Okay, that was a fix. Yeah, let's go. Next one, we have this one down here. There it was again. Burusu immediately. So, screech, screech. There it was again. Burusu immediately looked to the sill of the two large windows in the brood carrier's cavern of melted stone. That turned out to be a mistake, though. I feel like, however, here. I wonder how many howevers we have. 12, which is not too bad, though. That turned out to be a mistake, however, as she somehow managed to burn her fingers on the mighty hot scaly egg she was turning. Okay, so next one is not a though, it's a thought. Okay, so we're going to leave that for now. Next one is also a thought. Here is a though. Okay, so, ooh, wow. This orange highlight here is where I am in the revision of the Danish, version. Flu. Okay, we're almost 15 minutes in. There's no technical issues. There's still power. Fingers crossed that we can keep this up for today. It wasn't... Okay, let's just try to read these three paragraphs here. It wasn't that the others weren't interesting. Skyreach had the most and tallest mountains, and Burusu always loved to go climbing there. Scaling the peaks could be a perilous activity, though. Especially for someone whose wings didn't work. But Burusu had successfully developed quick reflexes, and when things got dangerous, she had yet to make a fall that she couldn't recover from. Of the other dragon roosts, Cloud Lake housed the biggest reservoir of water, as its name suggested. Though she always thought it best to visit in the summer, when the lake wasn't as cold, and freelanding had so much history. Burusu followed the magnificent chain from Ringrest up to High Roost, quietly floating above. It had been years since she last visited the Emerald Kin. high roost might be the smallest of the dragon roost, but its altitude meant the flora and fauna was one of a kind. Well, okay, it is. It is still in the morning, pre-noon, so just bear with me. I am feeling funny today, so that is my defense when I don't know how to read. And it would be nice once again to see some other flowers besides the still dominating orange fire blossoms, even though the cooler autumn temperatures have reduced their numbers. She would probably go there after the final phase of the current clutch. There would be enough time before the next brood carrier call. So we can disregard this one, of course. This is thought. And we will go hunting for thought afterwards. I think I wanna start this sentence with but scaling the peaks could be a perilous activity. Actually, what did we just change? We changed something. We changed something up here. No, we changed here. I just need to go into the Danish one. And say that this was rewritten. Check the slightly rewritten English version. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let's move on. So there's a thought there. Then we change this one down here. But the scaling the peaks could be a perilous activity, especially for someone whose wings didn't work. Yeah. I think this one down here could be an even if the cooler autumn temperatures had reduced their numbers. Yeah, that's good. It would be nice once again to see some other flowers besides the still dominating orange fire blossoms, even if oh yeah, it's all coming together. I feel like this was a long sentence. This paragraph is almost a single sentence. That needs to be rewritten. Of the other dragon roosts, Cloud Lake housed the biggest reservoir, as the name suggested. Full stop. She always thought... Now, there is, of course, there's a bit of a problem. Not a problem, it's a bit of a danger with in doing this, because if I, for example, change everything to however, then we need to go however hunting. Like, it just creates another, right? It just creates another problem. Morning stretches. Everything is wrong with me today. I feel like my lower back is also extraordinarily stiff. Yeah, and at the same time, we don't want to start every sentence with "but," she always thought. Was it okay to have this sentence be so long? It's just because I feel like when we have it in a single sentence of the other dragon rules, then it makes sense to have like, okay, this is Cloud Lake in this sentence, and then the next sentence is Free Landing. But when we split it up, it felt like this sentence about Free Landing just came out of nowhere. It came out of left field. Of the other dragon roofs, Cloud Lake housed the biggest reservoir of water, as its name suggested. Though, as its name suggested, though she always thought it best to visit in the summer when the lake wasn't as cold. Of the other dragon roosts, Cloud Lake housed the biggest reservoir of water, as its name suggested, though she always thought it best to visit in the summer when the lake wasn't as cold, and Free Landing had so much history. Yeah. It is the first though in a while, so that's the thing, right? I don't know if I mentioned that in the beginning, but we want this to make sense still. Like, sure, I want to spread them out so I don't write in the same fashion all the time, but it also needs to make sense. So it could be that using though in paragraphs right next to each other is the way we want to go. Or it could be we want to have a whole page without using though, as we have here. Sounds a bit weird, I know, but I think I'm gonna leave this one there. Nevertheless, things were different now. Boruso had been nominated for brood carrying by her old learner, and a call as prestigious as that was not something to be turned down. The Queen Mothers, the only ones capable of carrying on the lines of dragons, trusted only brood carriers with their precious glass-like and scaly eggs, and the task of bringing forth life. The glass-like scaly eggs and the task of bringing forth life. Even if brood carriers collectively failed the difficult process to procure living drake and whelplings most of the time, their call was still highly regarded. Boruso's feeling for the incubation process was exceptional, though. She had already brought more whelplings to the world than anyone could expect or hope from one as new as her. The Topaz Queen definitely needed her, and so she couldn't just walk away even if she wanted to. Okay, so I was just thinking, this sentence here and this sentence here two very different ways of using the word though. This is sort of, she's actually very good, and then ending with it though, like it's sort of an interposed sentence. And this is, however, though. She had already brought more whelplings to the world. So I think this is okay to have. Yeah, I think it is. Because it's a fine sentence. Varusu's feeling for the incubation process was exceptional, though. Don't put your finger in your nose. You're on live stream, man. I think it's alright. I think it's alright. I think it's alright. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I'm just trying to stretch my legs. Giving my lower back some work to do. It's nice that you can't see it on stream. That wasn't a weird moment at all. Okay, next is all the way down here. That's like 2 pages left. Oh, no, okay. Okay, Ilikazi responded. She was a little saddened that the exciting conversation had come to an end so soon, but she also knew where her room was supposed to be at this hour. Good night, Woo-Woo. The gentle beast. Good night, Woo-Woo, the gentle beast said as she let go of the window. In contrast to her own pet name, Ilikazi had never really learned to say her sister's full name, though not for lack of trying. But it wasn't for lack of trying. Even if... No. I don't know, my problem here is that the sentence, it feels a bit... feels a bit convoluted, doesn't it? In contrast to her own pet name, Ilikazi had never really learned to say her sister's full name. Maybe it's a two name. What's nickname? Sorry. There's probably not much we can do about that, to be honest. In contrast to her own pet name, to her own pet name, Ilikazi had never really learned to say her sister's full name. Though not for a lack of trying. though not for lack of trying. Hey, we're all half an hour. We're celebrating the small milestones of every 15 minutes without an interruption, without a technical difficulty in one way or the other. Okay, so let's try something here. Isolate it. Oh, stupid keyboard binding. So we could say Ilikasi had never really learned her sister's full name, in contrast to her own pet one, though it wasn't for a lack of trying. So of course this refers back to refers back to Ilikasi, Vurusu calling Ilikasi for Ili, and that's a pet name. And here Ilikasi is calling Vurusu Vuvu, but that's just her not being able to pronounce Vurusu, right? Of course, that doesn't help with the though that we were hunting for. But good night, Vuvu, the gentle beast said as she let go of the window. Ilikasi had never really learned her sister's full name. We could say one down here. No. I don't know if it's an awkward sentence, but I think I'm going to leave it. You must go, Wheelie. No one can find you here. Good night, Woo-Woo, gentle beast said as she let go of the window. So I was reading from up here. You must go, Wheelie. No one can find you here. Good night, Woo-Woo, the gentle beast said as she let go of the window. In contrast to her own pet name, Ilikasi had never learned to say her sister's full one, though not for lack of trying. I think though it wasn't for lack of trying. Okay, yeah, it's alright. And down here to the next though, the bewildered broodcarer shook her head slightly as she tried to make sense of this unprecedented request. Of course, this is now Sujinem. Goddamn, I should really learn to say the names of my own characters. Let's just stretch a little bit. It just looks like I'm skiing or, I don't know, roller skating. This is me when I'm roller skating and also when I'm stretching, trying to get some motion into my lower back. Okay, this probably looks a bit more like I'm skiing. I don't know. I've never been skiing. I've never went skiing, so I don't know. I just need to loosen up my lower back a little bit. The bewildered broodcarrier shook her head slightly as she tried to make sense of this unprecedented request, firmly stopping the Queen's Guard in the doorway. There was a loud discontent as Sujinim took a step back for balance, scraping the door with his black horns as he almost toppled the egg carrier. He managed to save it at the very last moment, though. Yeah, this is the time where I don't like, though, the use of the word. I think this just needs to be removed. He managed to save it at the very last moment. There was a loud discontent as Sujinim took a step back for balance, scraping the door with his black horns as he almost toppled the egg carrier. He managed to save it at the very last moment. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So on the middle of page 6 is the previous though. It's a thought. That is a thought. And then we have a though. The end of... as if already having a surplus of realms to hatch isn't difficult enough, the broodcarrier thought, and let out another heavy groan. Ugh. There wasn't really much to do about it until morning though. Oh my god, we have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts about this, but there are so many thoughts in the text. That was a true crutch word apparently, and not though. There wasn't... Again, I'm not sure I quite like it here. We could remove the full stop and just have this paragraph be a long sentence. And then have a but here. Yeah, but. As if already having a surplus of real eggs to hatch isn't difficult enough, the broodcarrier thought, and let out another heavy groan. But there wasn't really much to do about it until morning. Okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Ba. I just need to do something. Okay. I just wrote down minutes of something that I thought I just realized could be a good short form video at one point. I was also thinking that it could maybe be rewritten slightly, this one. Because if we say... just copy paste this. The brute carrier thought, full stop. Oops. Ah! Stupid freaking... She let out another heavy groan, as there wasn't really much she could do about it. Much she could do about it until morning. So instead of, so this is the old one, as if already having a surplus of real eggs to hatch isn't difficult enough, the brute carrier thought, and let out another heavy groan. There wasn't really much to do about it until morning, though. Has now become, as if already having a surplus of real eggs to hatch isn't difficult enough, the brute carrier thought. She let out another heavy groan, as there wasn't really much she could do about it until morning. She let out another heavy groan, as there wasn't really much she could do about it until the morning. Until the next morning. I think this is better, right? As if already having a surplus of real eggs to hatch isn't difficult enough, the brute carrier thought. She let out another heavy groan, as there wasn't really much she could do about it until the next morning. Yep. I like this. I like that more. Bring the next, though. That's a thought. That's a thought. That's a though. The brood carrier, albeit young, had never seen eggs of topaz clutch in a different color than those of her own scales. Oh yeah, so this is when she realized that the eggs Suginem came with were onyx, were black. The scales were black as the deepest, darkest of the nights. I don't know, I completely lost my train of thought there. The brood carrier, albeit young, had never seen eggs of a topaz clutch in a different color than those of her own scales. The queen consort Famray was of the onyx, though, so maybe it was just an anomaly. Maybe they would, for all Varuso knew, even change into the yellow shades of the topaz queen mother as they received the immense heat of the incubation. During incubation. So, without thinking much more of it, she went to work putting the new arrivals into their respective kilns. Queen consort Family was of onyx, though. Yeah, let's keep that. Let's keep that though there. That though there. That though there. Sounds funny. A little bit of an alliteration. Vurusu flicked a fire blossom to ignite the 3 remaining kilns. Just before sending the flames to the destination, she attempted the dance of fire. It was a juvenile exercise, but having never really been great with the element, the dragon wanted to see how long she'd keep the dance going. It was never very long, though. I think I kind of think I want to keep this though as well, because it's a very you know, it's a bit of a depressing statement. It was never very long though. Oh, she tried so much. It wasn't very good though. Whereas if we say but it was never very long. But it was never very long. I don't know, I feel like saying but here or however could work as well. But I feel like if we say the dragon wanted to see how long she could keep the dance going, but it was never very long, then it feels more active than a sad statement. Like, it's the same word, sure, and it's the same sad statement, but having though here at the end of this sentence is sort of a depressing statement of all the time she tried. Whereas if you use but, it feels more active right here, right now. Oh, it didn't work now. Maybe it'll work next time. Whereas this one is more of a, it was never very long though. Like, it's never gonna happen. So the brood carrier went ahead and sent the fires to the kilns and walked around to work the winds. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Next one is a thought. Next one is a thought. Next one is a thought. And we have a thought here. We definitely need to go thought hunting. I'm just gonna write that down. I think that could be a funny moment. That's when you don't have assistance, when you're doing everything yourself. Sort of have to make sure that I remember funnier moments. Okay, we turn the page, and there are more thoughts. The questions multiplied as Vurusu let her thoughts down the path. She felt all of them. I know we're going though hunting, but there was so many thoughts there I couldn't ignore it. And I think it makes sense to have them there. So when was the last actually the last though? Oh, it was on page 8. Yeah, this is page 10. Okay. Let's read the paragraph before for some context, right? Vurusu knew that something didn't feel right, and that she should report it as soon as possible. So yeah, she's now contemplating the eggs. She realized that topaz eggs are always topaz, and onyx, like the eggs have the same color of the mother. But she could also feel curiosity rise within her. Why did Famry, assuming he was the one behind this, have eggs from another queen mother here at Wingrest? Who brought them here, and how? The questions multiplied as Veruso led her thoughts down the path. She felt the need to write all of them down. Yeah, this could actually be... Them could both be questions and her thoughts, and, or both. Putting the onyx egg into her broodcarrow's pouch, she went to fetch a notebook and ink pot on the windowsill. This was too important. Would you kindly place the last egg in a kiln? Even though the voice was calm, it still made Veruso jump so high that the egg almost escaped the pouch. I was just thinking maybe we should have almost escaped the tablet's pouch, but nah, it's fine. Even though the voice... So what I'm a little worried about here is that it feels very... It feels very sudden, this, even though, doesn't it? But of course, that also builds into the fact that it is sudden. This is like, this is Sunearden, of course, coming from the shadows. So his voice is sudden. We and Veruso thought she was alone, and then suddenly someone is saying something. Could you kindly place the last egg in the kiln, even though the voice was calm? Yeah. We're keeping it. Thoughts. Holy smokes. Oh my god, there's so many thoughts. Thought. I really thought though was the crutch that I used in this. It turns out it's thought. Holy freaking... That's wild. There's a though. Oh my god, I have a though. We have a though. Ding, ding, ding. I feel like one of these two those could stay. Slashed into her right shoulder from below, with the hooks ripping off the golden scales with ease and excruciating pain. Ooh, the soundtrack right now is perfect. Sunearden is attacking her. Sorry, I was just reading my comment over here. It's just from at some point correct whether or not she's being hit in her right or her left shoulder. Anyway, an excruciating pain spread through what felt like Veruso's entire body. The topaz drake tumbled back onto the floor that she so desperately had tried to get up from. Fate would have it that her effort was rewarded, however. Okay, so here's the however, followed by a though. Fate would have it that her effort was rewarded, however, and she ended up next to her precious golden scale legs. It was still too much to pick up directly, though. But even as she laid there in an expanding pool of her own blood, dripping from the torn tablet, the broodcarrow felt the need to defend it. Veruso dragged herself closer, with groans and great difficulty. Yeah, I don't like this though. This though. It's up here. I think we just need to get rid of it. I don't think we need to do anything else. Fate would have it that her effort was rewarded, however, and she ended up next to her precious golden scaled egg. It was still much too hot to pick up directly, but even as she laid there in an expanding pool of own blood, yeah, this was good. That was good. Do we by any chance prefer the winds over the fire? Bruce didn't think she had the strength to answer, not that she wanted to. Instead, she frantically scouted her room for any kind of escape, but the pain in her shoulder made it hard to focus. At least she was with Frijeithu to protect her from whatever may come. If Urusa went for the door after somehow losing her attacker, she didn't know who or what would greet her on the other side. Chances were that Sujinem, another intruder, or someone else in league with the Onyx Dragonkin would be waiting. But the only other way out of her hatchery was through the windows and into the starry night. And without working wings, that would spell certain death once she arrived on the ground at incredible speeds. Boruso groaned again, as much for mental strain as for physical pain. There was really only one choice. She was dead either way. At least if she aimed for the settler, her body would alert the Topaz Queen guard on the ground. Boruso felt some comfort in knowing that she hadn't been completely useless in her final moments. There was still one immediate problem though, and he was slowly walking towards her. This is a perfect though. We don't need to do anything about that. It's a perfect. Mwah. So now we travel for almost an entire page until the next though. We're getting closer to the end though. Very nice. Oh. Stretching my legs, trying to loosen up in my lower back. Man, I am a mess today. I'm a weakling today, much more so than normal. I should have a camera that looks at my legs so you can see what I'm doing. Well, I'm just trying to stretch my legs. I don't actually know if we could stand up. Could we? Let's try it. It's more like, I know I can stand up, but it was more... Oh. No, that's not good. Oh, man. You know what? We can go like this. Down here. And then... Well, this is awkward. Well, this is just a tad awkward, really. So I would have to sort of bend my knees. But, you know, it's alright. If only I could, like, have my green screen stand on something. That would be ideal, really. But yeah, okay. It's alright. We can just do this for a little while. So I'm just standing here dancing for no reason. Well, it's not a no reason. I woke up with a stiff lower back. Right. In a desperate attempt to stop the searing pain, Sunaden tried to pry the topaz away from his face. We're here, by the way. In a desperate attempt to stop the searing pain, Sunaden tried to pry the topaz away from his face. His success was minimal, however, as the long steel blades attached to his fingers didn't allow him a good enough hold on either of Urusu's hands. Instead, Sunaden accidentally cut himself multiple times in his rising panic, hitting Urusu as well. Cutting. He cut himself. Cutting. Bob. Nasty. Okay. That was not what we were looking for. In the least. Incision. Wounding. Yes, that's way better. Wounding. He didn't notice it himself, though, as the pain from the hot egg overwhelmed anything else. Urusu maintained her grip undeterred. Okay, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to deal with the fact that you can't see the top of my face for a couple of minutes more. I just need to loosen up my lower back. Awkward as it is. Sorry. Well, I am the king of awkward. He didn't notice it though. Anyway, cheers with my average sized mug here. Of course, it is me being small. She thought she heard a crack. When's the next though? Okay, so there are those. Oh, there's a lot of those. What on earth? Oh, okay, there might be thoughts as well. Okay, so this is the final though until the end. Until the end of the end of the story that you guys can see. I don't know. I kind of want it to be however. But I'm not sure how many howevers we have actually. I think however hunting is also a thing. 12. We have a however there. We have a however. Yeah, we have. Well, it's definitely not gonna be a however now. Okay. 9. It was a though we were looking for. It was this though. This though up here. Didn't notice it though. Oh, I can stand over here. And then you can see all of me. Okay. Ow. Ow, I just rolled over my toe. Oh, we can sit down here. That's good, right? Sure. Okay, that was not the success I had hoped it would be by standing up. Get back to it. Okay, so I think this is actually the same, sort of the same situation as we had before, where I was talking about the use of though at the end of a sentence, like it was at the Dance of Fire, right? Where I thought that it was more of a sad overall statement, whereas if we used but in the beginning of a sentence, Like, I know it's spoken language, but if we use it at the beginning, it's much more here now. And I think I want to do the same here. We can use except. Except he didn't notice it. He didn't notice it himself, as the pain from the hot egg overwhelmed anything else. Gruesome maintained her grip undeterred. Cool! That was though. And it turned out most of them were actually thought. That's nice. That's very cool. So awesome. I don't know what to do about all those thoughts. I don't know what to think about all those thoughts. Yeah, there it was. Nailed it. But let's move on. Always Be My Unicorn by Freedom Trail Studio. It's the song playing right now. Okay, the next one we mentioned is going managed hunting, because I feel like I use that a whole lot as well. And then we got thought, which we know, well, we know there's at least 30 of those, 37 thoughts. Well, that also means that we're down to 9 those. Interesting. Thought hunt. So we got manage, we got thought, and check the name. What is the name we're going with? Oh, we got moment, and is that it? And however hunting. I think those are the 4 huntings that we need to do. Well, we got over the lips as well. I don't think I know this was a bigger problem in Danger. Over the lips, I wrote that a lot. That was sort of a crutch phrase. Of course, a crutch phrase is... I don't remember if I talked about it in another live stream, but a crutch phrase is when or a crutch word. See, I'm trying to stall while I'm trying to stall while I think about what I wanted to say, what examples I wanted. A crutch word or a crutch phrase is when you find a word that just works really well in some scenario or a phrase, and then you sort of keep using it because you sort of realize, okay, you go like, oh, this was a really good word. While you're saying it, you're thinking, oh, this was a really good word or a really good phrase. This was really cool. It was really dramatic. It fits so well. And then without realizing it, you sort of just start using it all the time. So I know for a fact that I've done this a lot. It's something I'm very aware of. I'm probably still doing it. Crutch words or phrases can change. But I know also from hearing sports commentators, for example, like they just sort of happen, you know? And it's quite funny when you're aware of it. Like if you're aware of it, next time you're watching a sport event or an e-sport event or whatever, try to see if you can notice like the moment where a commentator finds his or her their crutch word or phrase, and then notice how much they use it afterwards. It doesn't happen all the time, of course, but it happens to everyone, I think, and it happens for even the best. Like, I come from Counter-Strike background, and I know my favorite commentators, favorite casters. Like, I know of examples where they used it. Because I'm aware of it, and I, you know, sort of, then you can't overhear them saying it all the time. And it's quite funny. I like it. I love it. Well, I just noticed here that this needs to be an interposed sentence. Okay, so we go manage hunting. That was the next one. And I also feel like I need to get away from though and thought. Okay. So manage. I would say. Now there is only 15. So we sort of have like maybe 1 manage, 0.7 manage per page. But manage was definitely a crutch phrase or word for me in Fly, having read it a couple of times now. And that's why I say we go manage hunting. I don't know. I just really like that they somehow do something accidentally almost. Like she somehow managed to burn. It was difficult to do it, but she managed to do it anyway. She managed to burn her fingers. And then that just kept repeating, I think, throughout the story. So, yeah. So talking about crutch words, well, manage, I'm pretty sure was my crutch word for Fly. Okay, so the first one I think we will let slide, but let's see. There was screech, 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 screech. There it was again. Burusu immediately looked to the sill of her 2 large windows in the brute cavern of melted stone. That turned out to be a mistake, however, as she somehow managed to burn her fingers on the mighty hot scaly egg she was turning. That can stay on page 1. See, there's a manage all the way, like right here as well. Like I just written managed over up here, and now we have it down here. I feel like this is too close. These are too close to each other. But then we don't have a manage for a long time. 2. Okay, so this is the flit gecko. It's making noise. It makes sort of like a clacking noise. That's the sound I was trying to say here. As Furusu peered into the glass cage, a demanding flit gecko was impatiently staring back at her. It hadn't even been a moon phase since her sister had brought the 3 eggs to Furusu. How such a large dragon like Ilikasi had managed to bring such small eggs without harming them was a feat that Furusu still pondered over from time to time. and up until now they had all been lying comfortably in the terrarium's warm dirt. Now there were only 2 eggs and a cracked shell, next to a cracked shell, and would look to be an almost fully grown lizard. Okay, so there is another problem. Should this be developed? I think this should be developed. And I know that this was a manage that we need to take a look at. Just need to go over to the Danish one. And clack, 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 clack. I'm just gonna make this a comment. Udviklet. Udviklet is developed. Danish words for developed. Oh, such a large dragon like Ilikasi had managed to bring her such small eggs. I really want to change the sentence structure so we don't use manage here as well. But does it make sense, right? Does it make sense? If it does make sense, then that's okay. How could we change it? How such a large dragon like Ilikasi had managed to bring her such small eggs without harming them was a feat that Borusu still pondered over from time to time. Manage. Accomplished. Oh, yes. Or achieved. Accomplished. Yes. It also makes more sense because accomplished, like it was a feat that she had accomplished. She did it. It was not just something that she managed to do. It was something, wow, how did that happen? Yes. Thank you. Had accomplished bringing. Oops. Does that make sense? How such a large dragon like Ilikasi had accomplished bringing her small eggs. No. Accomplished to bring her small eggs. To bring her such small eggs. I feel like that was a great thesaurus moment. And I want to write that down. Accomplish. Because that could be a short form video. Thesaurus. Okay. Okay. We did that. And then we go all the way. What? Oh, it's here. Okay. Can we just agree that I pressed go to the next manage and we went all the way to page 7 when the next manage was on page 5? This is 6. Okay, so this is where Borusu and Ilikasi are talking. What did you read about? Borusu finally garnered enough courage to ask. They just had an awkward interaction. Ilikasi. Wait, what? Oh. Okay, I just thought this looked like... Why is this red? Is it just... Screw you. Is it just because it was a red underline here? Oh, okay. I thought there was a comment attached to it for some reason. It had this slight reddish yellow... I guess it was more red than yellow, but hue to it. Highlight to it. What did you read about? Rusu finally garnered enough courage to ask. Ilikazi quickly turned her head towards his sister. Back towards his sister and reaffirmed her strong grip on the window's side, breaking off a few more stone slabs. Me read from favorite, Rusu gently helped. Favorite book, the eager viewer managed to spell out. Yeah, this was definitely a manage, because this was a labored effort. So she managed it. Or do we have another better one in the thesaurus? Survive, get by. So work. I mean, it feels a bit mocking if we say like she achieved to spell it out. But she definitely worked for it. And work should be celebrated. She managed to spell it out, right? Yeah, she managed to spell this out. Yeah. Next. Okay, so here it's on the very next page. Well, about a page later. I love you too, Bruce managed to respond. See, this is what I'm talking about. This has definitely been a crutch word of mine when writing this. I love you too, Bruce managed to respond. Well, I actually think that's a pretty good way of saying it. But down here, not very much longer, he managed to say it at the very last moment. Manage. I love you too, Rusu managed to respond. Could say somehow responded. I'm. Did I just say that I like the way we used managed up here? But now I'm thinking that it's not very good and it shouldn't even be there. Because we could say I love you too. Vurusu responded with a strange mix of yelling and whisper. I mean, let's do that. Vurusu responded with a strange mix of yelling and whisper as the worm started to flap her mighty wings outside. So next one, we had this one. This was, well, we just removed a though here. That's funny. Where is the next managed? Oh. Long way away. But can we change it up here because I'm not sure I like it in this one, this paragraph. The bewildered broodcarrier shook her head slightly as she tried to make sense of this unprecedented request, firmly stopping the Queen's Guard in the doorway. There was a loud discontent as Sujinim. There was a loud discontent as Sujinim. From Sujinim. As he took a step back for balance. There was a loud discontent from Sujinim as he took a step back for balance, scraping the door with his black horns as he almost toppled the egg carrier. Toppled. I guess it's knocked over. Yeah, I guess it's right. I guess it's correct way of saying it. I was just thought maybe you should have said turned over, but no, it's fine. It's a-okay. He managed to save it at the very last moment. Here we could also remove manage. My mind just went to adding a though. We have just removed it from this sentence. Because we could have said he saved it at the very last moment, comma, though. He managed to save it. He somehow saved it at the very last moment. No. Maybe manage is okay here. He managed to save it at the very last moment. I don't know, maybe I'm also too much in my mind that I know that manage is a crutch word and I want to show my skills in that I can write a sentence without it. You know? Let's just loosen up the lower back a little bit. Back to skiing. Shoo, 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 shoo. See, this is me skiing. I don't know how you ski. This is how you ski. He managed to save it at the very last moment. with his black horns as he almost toppled the egg carrier. Luckily, we could... Luckily, he saved it. Saved it at the very last moment. I think this might also be a crutch phrase, crutch way of writing. Have a single word or a couple of words, then a comma, and then explain. I think I do that a lot, but I hope it's fine. Anyway, we managed to get rid of this. Okay, then the next one is on page 8. We were just on page 6, right? Okay. She was better at the winds than the fire, but still not amazing. Her failure to ever create more than a light breeze with her wings, when some of her clutch mates had, I want to say, achieved here. Achieved storm-like gusts in their first year of learning, because this is an achievement. This is not something they just managed to do. This was something they accomplished, right? Just like Vurusu had accomplished talking, speech, spelling, and not just managed to do it. Yeah. That was good. Then on page 10, so he was indeed Onyx, and his tone was more angry now, where the first two requests had been calm, albeit sinister. Vurusu could only manage to look down at the dragon egg and a pouch and not much else. Okay. This is a prime example of manage being a crutch word, right? I do not like this sentence structure at all, and it sort of centers around the word manage. I'm not just saying that because what I mentioned before. I'm not just saying it because I know it's a crutch word and I want to get rid of it. But this is definitely centered around the word, and I do not like the sentence. Because we could say instead, separate them, Vurusu couldn't do much else than to look down at the dragon egg in her pouch. See, it's even a smaller sentence, but I feel like this one, Vurusu couldn't do much else than to look down at the dragon egg in her pouch. That's more dramatic and way less wordy than Vurusu could only manage to look down at the dragon egg in her pouch and not much else. Like, it's so much more on point, right? I hope you agree with me. Okay, next one. I feel like we're breezing through these manages. This might also be what we need to do tomorrow, because there are so many thoughts in there. When are we now? We're on page 13, so that was 2-3 pages later. I will kindly ask you to stop once again. The Onyx Intruder's volume was much louder than a sneer this time. You do not find it curious how your Topaz kin managed to swoop down from Little High Roost? Now, this could also be accomplished or achieved or something along those lines, right? Down from Little High Roost and seize the Great Wingrest with all of its powers within a single fight. All of its power within a single fight. I think this is a good use of manage. You do not find it curious how your Topaz kin manage, because he's also Sunarden here is questioning what happened, right? And I feel like using manage. I just realized I feel like might be a new crush phrase for me now that we're talking about it. But it is much of a feeling, though. Whatever I'm doing, this much feeling. Okay, but here, I think it's a good use because he's questioning what they're doing or how they did it, and achieved or accomplished would definitely be something. Like they did, like we said, like we discussed before, it would be like a celebration, right? Whereas this is when you use manage here, it's like you're questioning. They somehow did it. And no one really knows how they did it. So this is a good use of manage. I will keep it. And we were just at the beginning of page 13. On the middle of page 14. Where's the next one? Oh, we have 2 down here on 15 as well. And then I think I realized how many times I said manage. And then... Oh no! Look at that. There's 3 manages in the dark. Oof. That's gonna need some work. That's gonna leave a mark. Okay. No, our fate was outlined without save from any Onyx. No, our fate was outlined without save from any Onyx, Sunarden proclaimed, ignoring the hesitating Topaz dragon. My point being, how exactly does a kin such as yours manage to seize a roost as great as Wingrest? Of course, you Topaz had not engaged in a dragon fight for almost 70 years before your great fight, but I doubt any significant enough force could have amounted on High Roost during that time. The difference in numbers of incubation kilns alone would make sure of that, and that's not discussing the landmass required to support such an army. Oh, I just realized this could actually be resource. Which was a comment later, I think, where that said something like, "Is resources really needed here?" This could be where So he's again saying manage. This is alright, I think, because he is trying to drive home his point that the Topaz kin did it somehow. But he's not saying that they accomplished it or that they achieved it, right? He's questioning them. So I feel like this is a good one as well. Yeah. Yeah, I do think that. Next. And you know, he just used, well, not just, but he himself had used the word earlier. So it makes sense that he would use it again. That was on page 14. Then we have 2 in a row here on page 15. On the middle. So about a page later. Silence fell over the hatchery. Voruso could almost see the fire in Sunarden's one vibrantly near eye. This, I think this needs to go. Or this needs to be rephrased. I just realized, I know when. But I know that Sunarden is saying there was a fire in Voruso's eyes. Later, I think. And fire in your eyes, that's like a determination thing, right? Whereas this is his anger, this is destruction. This needs to be rephrased. Fire here is not determination, but anger. I guess it could be used, but I sort of, I don't know. That's a problem for later Thomas. Future Thomas. She decided it was best to not escalate further, as she still needed to come up with an escape plan, to come up with anything really. The only escape she could think of currently was out of the windows, and that was only if Voruso could somehow get rid of her intruder and miraculously learn how to use her wings. If she managed to do both those things, she could alert the large force at the Topaz Queen's Guard position at the settler. Of the Topaz Queen Guard position. Maybe they would know what to do. When Voruso scrambled for words in order to ask the furious Drake something, anything. How did your kin manage to survive for nearly 200 years with no queen mother, no queen daughter, no incubation kilns? The brood carrier came up with in the end. Okay. Okay. Now these are 2 good instances of manage, I think. But I don't like that they're used so close to each other. I do feel like if we remove this, it also gets less wordy, right? How did your kin survive for nearly 200 years? Like, it makes sense to have a manage there, but it also just gets to be a lot more wordy. And it's not like I'm afraid of words. but I think it makes sense to remove it there. So is this if she managed to do both those things? If she accomplished, if she maintained, no. If she contrive, cook, effect, execute, rig, scam, succeed. If she succeeded, yes, succeeded. Another victory for the thesaurus. If she succeeded, doing. Another victory for the thesaurus. Just gonna write that down. One. Okay. So it's now the only escape she could think of currently was out the windows, and that was only if Uruzu could somehow get rid of her intruder and miraculously learn how to use her wings. It's a bit long sentence, but I think it's okay. If she succeeded in doing both of those things, she could alert the large force of the Topaz Queen Guard positioned at the settler. Maybe they would know what to do. How did your kin survive? I like it. So we've cut manage down to half. Now there's only 8. And then 3 of them is in the last. It's in the ending. Between the burning pain on his face and the scales that simply would not stop falling off, Sunarden only managed to catch a glimpse of Uruzu before he was caught by the fierce winds, and she suddenly threw at him. Okay, there's a different problem with this sentence. But let's continue the paragraph. And it wasn't just a simple push to get him away from his former prey. No, the torrent was continuous and strong enough to press Sunarden against the kiln, incubating one of his onyx eggs. So there's definitely, I think, a problem here. The problem is that Sunarden only managed to catch a glimpse of Uruzu before he was caught by the fierce winds. Catch and caught, they're like the same word, right? Sorry, I'm just stretching my leggies again. My little leggies. Ooh. I think I need to stand up, walk around soon. But not until we fix this. Sunarden only managed to catch a glimpse of Uruzu before he was caught by the fierce wind. Bring me another thesaurus, please. And caught. Before he was seized. That could be pretty cool. To use seized. Confiscated. Nah. Snatched. Before he was snatched. Abducted. catch a glimpse. That's the trouble, right? That's where you say it. You catch a glimpse. You caught a glimpse. Because we could say, instead, I don't like it. It's a wordy sentence. But we could say Sunaden caught only a glimpse of Urusu before he was... Let's you ceased here for just a second. Sunaden, between the burning pain of on his face and the scales that simply would not stop falling off, Sunaden caught only a glimpse of Urusu before he was seized by the fierce winds she suddenly threw at him. I think that's that here. So it's a long sentence, but it's alright to have once in a while. The next sentence is short, and then a medium one, so that's alright. You wanna... Yeah, just in general, you wanna mix it up. Not only have short sentences, not only have long sentences, not only have medium sentences, but you wanna mix them up. A continuous line of short sentences has a dramatic effect. They have different effects, right? They have a very dramatic effect that she looked at him, he looked at her, she knew what to do, you know? That's dramatic. Instead of saying she looked at him and he at her, and together they know what they did. It was a way better with the 3 short ones. While I also think that multiple longer sentences after each other, that's more problematic. But you want to mix and match, and have different tempos and all that. Good. You know what? I'm liking seized. I'm liking that he was kidnapped by the winds, that they just grabbed him. He was grabbed by the winds. That could also be the word. But grabbed is a bit more... Grabbed is a bit more... You know, you grab a ball. He was seized. He was taken by force. Taken by force could be cool as well, but we already have a very long sentence, and I don't want to extend it. Sunaden only caught only a glimpse. Could say Sunaden only caught a glimpse of Urusu, but I think Sunaden caught only a glimpse. Yeah, I like the way that's phrased. Okay. So the next manage is in the end, where that you guys are not gonna watch. Okay, we have been though hunting now. We can remove those. No, we can't remove those. Damn it. There were those or thoughts in the end. So we still... Where on earth did we do that? Editing mode. No, not hide the menus. Show all comments. There it was. So reopen this. Yes, thank you. And okay, almost done. Just needs ending. Just needs ending, and the same with manage. Just needs ending. Now, thought hunting is the next. It's the next one. But there were so many. There were like 37 thoughts Oh, that's so many thoughts. 37 thoughts. So I think we do that tomorrow. And I think we can go hunting for another one. What was the next one? Go moment hunting. Moment hunting. Okay, we have 13 moments. We're not. I'm not thrilled about that. Moment. Distracted for a moment. Okay. Oof. Okay. This was probably also a crutch word. Moment of history. Saved at the very last moment. Distracted the brood carer for a moment. Was caught for a moment. For a moment. In this very moment. In these last moments. For a moment. For a moment. Final moment. For a moment. I think we found another crutch word. Had a moment of disbelief. Okay, we found a new crutch word. It wasn't just manage, it was also a moment. Oof. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. 3 loud knocks interrupted the sister's moment of history. So this is Vurusu teaching Ilikasi about history, basically. Moment of history. That's kind of nice. I like that phrase, actually. 3 loud knocks interrupted the sister's moment of history. Sister's moment of history. Yeah, I like that. We keep it. Luckily, he saved at the very last moment. This sentence had manage, it had though, and it also had moment. It had all 3 crutch words. Well, though was not too bad of a crutch word, but fudge. Sidste øjeblik is the Danish word to say that, a Danish way of saying that in the very last moment. Could say at the very last minute, at the very last instant, the very last second. Luckily, he saved it at the very last second. At the very last second? In the very last second. At the last second. In the last second. At the last second. Go away. Meaning just German. Okay, it's probably in then. Where did it go? Second. There. Luckily, he saved it at the very last second. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Moment. Okay, there's a distracted hush sound from the windows. Briefly I didn't need to read that to know how we could change it up. A hushed sound from the windows briefly distracted the brood carrier. For a moment. Briefly better. Moment. It was up here. Why did you go all the way down here when the word was up here? Weird. What page was that on? Briefly. That was on page 7. Moment. Moment. Gaze for a moment. That's on page 13. Okay. With the amount of I thought I almost accidentally ended the stream. With the amount of moments that seem to have gathered in the later half of the story, you can really see when. You can already see when I thought a moment, that's a good phrase to use. God damn it. Rusu was caught in the gaze for a moment. Before putting on her best boot carrying manners. Could say briefly here as well. Was briefly caught in the gaze, but I feel like for a moment it's a bit longer, right? So that's probably what we want to do. Can I just say, we went past 2 hours without technical difficulties. Or power outage, that's also a technical difficulty. Let's go. Celebrating the small moments of streaming. I think for a moment here is good. Yeah. And then on the very next page, Vorusu did not want to entertain the notions of the onyx intruder. Instead of answering, she looked at the glistening yellow egg laying safely in her tablet. Placing her hands on the scales sewn into the pouch, Vorusu could feel the warmth of the still hot, excruciatingly hot egg. For a moment, the brood carrier thought a heartbeat was noticeable, but also knew that it was much too soon. Oh, that's a... I kind of like that for a moment as well, though. But maybe that's all right. That's what we already said, right? Like, we don't need or want to remove a phrase just to remove it. It needs to make sense why we remove it. For a moment here, it cannot really be changed to briefly because she's feeling the egg, right? We could say for a second. We could say the brood carrier thought a heartbeat was noticeable for just a second. But also knew that it was much too soon. The brood carrier thought a heartbeat was noticeable for just a second, but also knew that it was much too soon. Yeah, I like that. A bit more descriptive. But it could also be interpreted as a very long sentence. Second, not a sentence. And that was that was 14, right? Yes. On the very next page, so we had moment up here in 13. We have moment down here on 15. And do you know what is even more curious, my golden boot carer? Sunaden loudly asked, not wanting an answer in return. When we tried to seek shelter and begin our new life amongst the trees below, it was fantastically curious and devastatingly unlucky how all of the ruthless incubation kilns were destroyed during your great fight. The Onyx Drake spoke almost as if he had experienced that horrible dragon fight himself, his breath so heavy that one could mistake him from fighting in it at this very moment. Yeah, that needs to say. That definitely needs to say. And remind me again, who attacked? I think this just needs to be. Who attacked the emeralds in the forest when the fighting broke out? Higher up. This is a good moment. We will keep it. And then we're going to 16. This moment was on 15, but it is in the end of 16, so it's like 1.5, 2 pages until the next one. My dear mother had a saying, Sunaden answered, pausing again. You believe but what you see, you receive but what you give. In these last moments, I needed you to see what your so highly regarded golden scales have done and what they're capable of. To see so that you may know what awe and grandeur is coming and why it is happening. The dragon lowered his hornless head and leaned forward. In these last moments. Could say seconds again. In these last in these last of your moments, I need you to see. In these last of your twinkles. In these final minutes. Yes. In these final minutes. I need you to see. In these of your final minutes. That makes sense, right? In these of your final minutes, I needed you to see. You believe, but what you see, you receive, but what you give. In these of your final minutes, I needed you to see what your so highly regarded scales have done and what they're capable of. To see, blah, blah. I think, yeah. Nothing flat, breathing, crack, second. Yeah, I'll take it. Especially because we had a moment right down here on the very next page, page 17. There's 3 moments on page 17. No. There's 2. Wait, oh, was it managed that was down here in the ending? Okay. Okay. Sunaden smiled and looked at the deep dark red blood running down 2 of his 3 running down two of the three steel blades adorning his left hand, his own claws still nowhere to be seen. For a moment, the Onyx assassin looked almost mesmerized by the streaks. There's no need for a moment there. Just plain old, the Onyx assassin looked almost mesmerized. Like, there's no need to say however long time period that he's mesmerized. Just say that he's mesmerized. It's less wordy, it's more dramatic, it's more to the point. So here, okay, here Vorusu says her own final moments, and we just used final minutes. I'm going to change that. That was up here. There. And these are your final. You know what? We're gonna be a little crude here. We're gonna say before you die, I needed you to see. Could also say before I kill you. This is Sunyaden talking after all, but I feel like kill is a very... I like that he said die, like it's almost not intentional, right? Like it's just something that has to happen. And I think that's sort of the vibe that I want Sunan to give. Like, he's angry at the Topaz kin. He's not angry at Vorusu, but whatever plan they have, the Onyx, there's gonna be collateral damage, and that was unfortunately Vorusu. So I like that he's not saying that I'm killing you. He's saying, oh, you're dying. Sad face, right? A bit of sad face, but wait, did we? Did we go over this? Again, I think we can just remove this for a moment and just say it was as if pink fading wind started to swirl around the intruder. That's just way better. Okay, that's a learning, definitely. And then we come down here. If Vorusu went for the door after somehow losing her attacker, she didn't know who or what would greet her on the other side. Chances were that Sujinim, another intruder, or someone else in league with the Onyx Dragonkin would be waiting. But the only other way out of her hatchery was through the windows and into the starry night. And without working wings, that would spell certain death when she arrived on the ground at incredible speeds. Vorusu groaned again, as much for mental strain as for physical pain. There was really only one choice. She was dead either way. At least if she aimed for the settler, her body would alert the Topaz Queen's guard on the ground. Vorusu felt some comfort in knowing that she hadn't been completely useless in her final moments. There was still one immediate problem though, and he was slowly walking towards her. Yes, we're going to keep this moment, definitely. Some comfort in... And that is the end of page 17. Around the end of page 18, we have two moments. Okay. At least she did so until the severe burns on her own hand overpowered her determination. Vorusu, I was just thinking we should get rid of determination here. No, I think think it's alright. Vurusu let go of the egg and pushed the onyx attacker towards the kilns. The topaz egg dropped to the stone floor, clinking as it rolled away. For a moment, Vurusu thought she heard a crack. Yeah, this can be a briefly. Vurusu briefly thought she heard a crack. A cracked egg spelled certain doom for an unborn whelpling that wasn't ready. However, between the stinging pains of a wounded shoulder, various new cuts, a pulsing burned hand, and the onyx drake by her kilns, Vurusu didn't have time to probably check the health of her egg. But for some reason, she maintained hope for Frithia. Okay. Following the rest of this paragraph, we can just say Vurusu thought she heard a crack. That's way more dramatic. Like, she thought she heard a crack. She didn't briefly think she heard a crack, right? She thought she heard a crack. And then... But she's also aware that she can't check the health right now. But she maintained hope. If she briefly thought she heard a crack, or for a moment, that sort of denotes that she knew. Oh, she thinks she hears a crack. She thinks she hears a crack, but she knows that it wasn't after a little while, right? So just getting rid of it saves everything. For some reason, she maintained hope for Frithia. Sunarden still stood screaming, holding his bladed hand to his burned face. He tried to catch the falling dark grey scales that moments earlier had taken up residence on his face. I think this is... Yeah, this is a good one. We'll keep that one. I have no remarks. And then... almost a page later, when she finally regained the mental fortitude to focus on other things than simply standing up, Vurusu had a moment of disbelief of what she had achieved. From failures past until now, her one truly successful work with the winds had been in the kilns. And that was after extensive research and practice. The continuous torrent of air still fixating the poor onyx dragon was something she had only ever seen the best learners do. And her wings. Vurusu had a moment of disbelief. Okay, so I like the phrase moment of disbelief. We could also say Vurusu couldn't believe what she had achieved. But I feel like a moment of disbelief is more of a, whoa, what had happened? I can't believe it. It's a bit like it's couldn't believe plus, right? It's a bit extra. It's a moment of disbelief. She is, what on earth? She's mind blown here. So I think we're keeping it. I think we're keeping this last moment. But that also means that was the last. So that means we're ending up on 6 instances of moment during those 21-22 pages, and I think that's all right. And with that, we are going to end the live stream right here. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I would really love it if you would like this one and maybe even subscribe to me, follow me along as I write Fly Done and my next short stories, and maybe even books once I get to that point. Yeah, tomorrow it's going to be last live stream of the week. Maybe even for a couple of weeks. I am moving soon out of my parents' house. But yeah, I'll get that up right away, so you guys can go wait for it if you want for 24 hours. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next one. in the next one when the journey continues. What an outro.